Hey there, YouTube. So today I wanted to go over the residential energy credit available for U.S. taxpayers. So this credit is available to U.S. persons that own a home during the tax year and they spend money refurbishing or rehabbing their home to make it more energy efficient. So if you're renovating your property or you're adding on to something and you are implementing these so-called green initiatives, right? So if they're qualified projects, you might be able to get a tax credit for the amounts that you paid to the contractor to develop the energy efficient improvement, right? So the most common example I see on a regular basis every year is putting in solar panels, right? So if you decide to add solar panels to your roof, to kind of supplement the cost of the energy in your property, right? You're not totally off the grid yet, but you bought solar panels to charge batteries and run a part of your home. You can actually take a credit for those improvements, right? So in this example, we have John Smith here. John is a taxpayer in the U.S. that has a job, and he just decided to rehab his property, and he installed solar panels on the roof. The total cost of the solar panels was the $14,500 there. So let's see how this results in a tax credit for John, right? So the form that you need to file with your tax return every year that you incur these costs is the $56.95. And they break down to a couple of categories here, right? They have solar, electric, property costs, water heating, wind energy. In this case, John did solar electric, right? So the improvements he made were the solar panels on the roof. Now, when you speak to your contractor or your developer, ask them about this credit, right? Because what's really important is you want to make sure that the improvements are going to qualify, and then you're going to want to have adequate documentation, right? So in the event that the IRS ever audits you and they say, hey, look, John, you had $14,500 of improvement costs. The total tax credit you were taking that year is $3,700. Can you substantiate the cost, and can you substantiate that it qualified? And John will be able to say, yes, here's the report, here's the invoicing, everything I got from the contractor, I'm good to go. If you don't have that, then it's going to be an uphill battle for you, right? Because the IRS knows that a lot of people are claiming these credits, and they're frankly fraudulent, right? People are just putting down numbers to generate tax credits. You do not want to be that person, right? So John's got the energy costs here, $14,500. That was the cost of the panels, labor, installation, everything. And line 6, so the credit you're eligible for is up to 26% of the cost, right? So 26% times the 14.5 is the 3,770. And then this foots down here to line 13. This is the total amount of credit. If you have other costs in these buckets, then you can add those as well. And then at the end of the day, you've got the total available credit to you for the year. In this case, we're just keeping it simple. John's got the one improvement. So his total eligible credit is the $3,770. Now, line 14, this is also very important, limitation based on tax liability. So you cannot take a credit in excess of what your tax liability is for the year. So John, in his example here, so if we scroll up to the top of his 1040, so John, he has this job, right? He makes $125,000 a year. He had $21.41 in investment, interest income, some other income down here. His total tax liability is this amount right here, right? The $24,154. That is the limitation, right? So you compute your taxes first, and then you move on to the credit computation, see what you're eligible to take. So the limitation is his total tax liability, $24,154, and then the amount of credit that he can take is the smaller of the two, right? So in this case, he's allowed to take the full credit for the year, which is $3,770. And so the $3,770 is reported on Schedule 3, right, where you have the credits and payments section. So here he has the residential energy credit listed on line 5. And then ultimately this amount is transferred to page 2 of the 1040, where he gets a credit for the a credit against his taxes for the amount of the residential energy credit, right? So there's the 3770 again. So he takes the 24,154 minus the credit. That's the adjusted tax liability, 20,384, and then he goes on down the list, with respect to all his other taxes and his income tax withholding. But main point here is if you have residential energy credits, they immediately offset whatever your tax liability is. And then, of course, you get credits for withholding on your wages, or if you made estimated payments, or if you have, the earned income credit or child tax credits, those will also go into ultimately what the net amount you owe for the year. Okay, so that covers it for this video. Very, very straightforward. Again, it's just something to keep in mind. I have a lot of clients who just completely forget that they did this, or they're not even aware that they're eligible for the credit. So I have to ask every year, hey, did you do any of these kind of improvements? Because you can get a huge tax break, right? Very, very important. So if you're a homeowner, keep these in mind. Very, very helpful to get these tax breaks. And then if you're a tax preparer out there, or if you're doing your own tax return, make sure to consider this, because the amount is quite significant, right? I mean, it's 26% of whatever the total costs are. So keep these in mind when you're doing your tax returns. And that covers it. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button. Always appreciate it. And of course, if there's any questions you have, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I will answer them as soon as I can get to them. Okay, thanks again. Take care.